Hey, Solid Source, it's Jeff Henderson, and welcome to our new series, The Best Practices for Your Business and Life. Number one, think abundantly. Number two, plan intentionally. Number three, execute consistently. And number four, celebrate frequently. So in part one, as that's the overview, let's talk about the first one. And the first one is think abundantly. You've heard this, and you don't need me to tell you this, and you know this to be true. But as a person thinks, that's where they go, right? Our thought lives are so powerful, and they lead us to some incredible places or some difficult places. But how you think is how you are, okay? But here's the challenge with thinking, and maybe this is just me, maybe you have no issues with this, but sometimes I'd rather check email than think, right? Thinking is really, really hard. And let me tell you something about your brain that you might not be, maybe you've never heard this before, but thinking requires a lot of energy. And let me tell you about your brain. Your brain tries to conserve as much energy as possible. In fact, what you're doing right now, listening to me, your brain is expending a lot of energy. So this idea of we need to think abundantly, your brain sometimes works against you because it's trying to conserve energy. So I want to give you a practical application about thinking abundantly and thinking at a higher level. And it's what I call Think 30. Think 30. So let me explain what Think 30 is. I have a specific challenge for you. So Think 30 is simply this. I want to challenge you for the next 30 days, all right? And I'm going to just throw out the big gauntlet. I'm triple dog daring you right now. So now you have to do it, right? I'm going to challenge you to think for 30 minutes every day for the next 30 days. Think 30 minutes for the next 30 days. And let's specifically talk about the business right now, right? What would happen if you thought for 30 minutes about the business, how you could grow the business, how you could better serve your community, how you could better serve your clients? What would happen if you were to think for 30 minutes for 30 days in a row? Now, it's not enough for me to say, you need to think 30 minutes for 30 days. Good luck with that. I want to specifically walk you through what to do in those 30 minutes, all right? So I'm not just challenging you and leaving you to your own whims. I'm going to actually say, hey, here's how you do this. And you heard me say this in the last series. I'm not going to ask you to do something that I'm not already trying to do myself or already have done. This is a practice that I try to do on a consistent basis, especially on like a 30-day increment. So here's how you do this. So, 30 minutes, if you think about it, that's a long time, all right? So I know that. So what you do is you break it out in 3 10-minute increments. So you set your phone or your watch for 10 minutes. In the first 10 minutes, you decide in those first 10 minutes what specifically, let's keep talking about business, what specifically in the business do you want to think about? And you just write that out. What would happen if I could increase my sales this amount? What would happen if I was able to grow my business to this amount? You just decide what specifically in the business do you want to think about? Or how about this? Maybe the thing you need to think about is I want to own my business and not have my business own me. There's a difference, right? There are a lot of business people who think they own their business. They don't own the business owns them. What I mean by that is what could you do in this 30 minutes for 30 days to make sure that you free yourself up enough to, and here's a radical thought, enjoy the business and actually enjoy being in business. So I want you to think through in the first, I'm going to think for 30 days, and you write out in that first 10 minutes, here's what I want to write, here's what I want to think about, and you just begin to pause and you begin to think, all right, what do I want to do in the next 20 minutes? So after that first 10 minutes is over and you kind of write it out, then I want you to get specifically in the next 10 minutes, all right, this is in our 30-minute journey together, I want you to just start writing out. All right. And some of you are, you're digital, and I love that. I love that. But I want you to actually get a pen and a piece of paper and you write out for 10 minutes. All right. And what you're doing is let's talk about, let's say if I was working with a business owner and they said, I want to grow my business by 10% this year. Okay. Just throwing this out. So for the second 10 minutes, you're going to write out all the ideas by hand that you think you could possibly do to think of to grow your business by that percentage, right? And when you can't think of anything else to write, I want you to write, I can't think of anything else to write. You keep writing. And here's what you're doing. You're tricking your brain into working, okay? That's why there's something connected to your hand and to your brain while you're writing. So for that next 10 minutes, you're writing everything that you could possibly think of, any idea, any person you know, anything that you could do to grow your business by that percentage. Then your watch goes off or your phone goes off, and now you're settled in for the final 10 minutes of the Think 30. In the final 10 minutes of the Think 30, what you're now doing is you're trying to circle connections between the things that you have written. And when you find those connections, you're looking for at least one or two things that you're going to do in the next day, the next week, or maybe it's a consistent habit that you will use to grow your business. Now, here's what you've done. Let me kind of give you an overview of what you've done in the Think 30. The first thing in the first 10 minutes is you've decided, here's what I want to think through. The second is you've actually employed your brain by actually writing it all out. And then the third thing is you're connecting things. And as you do that, and I would encourage you to do this in the morning, and I know all you evening people are rolling your eyes at me, all right, but I want you to do this in the morning. Think 30 minutes a day for 30 days. And that leads you to the first best practice for your business and your life. Think abundantly. So Solid Source. That's my encouragement. That's my challenge. That's my friendly challenge to you. And that's just best practice number one. But if you'll employ this thing and think more about the business and think more about your life, I'm telling you the results will be dramatic. I'll see you next time for part 2 as we talk about plan intentionally.